I want to begin by expressing a degree of diffidence because after that last session, I rather think that any set of closing remarks is wholly unnecessary. But perhaps in the few minutes that I can keep you prisoner without trial, let alone charge, allows me to express my very, very sincere thanks to the organizers of this symposium. It has been, in my view, one of the most stimulating events that I have been to. It has been one of the most encouraging events of this nature that I have been to. And I'm encouraged and have been stimulated not just by the quality of the contributions from the speakers and the panelists, I except, of course, myself, but also from the enthusiasm and the questions from the floor, particularly, if I may say so, as someone entering into the springtime of his senility, from the younger members of the audience. It is encouraging to old lags to see potential future old lags enthusiastically coming to a meeting to discuss the rule of law. To my mind, the rule of law, justice and the rule of law, is not a slogan, but nor is it a mere aspiration. They are essential ingredients to any participatory and genuine and civilized democracy. It isn't something that's nice to have, it's essential. And that's why I think it is uncontroversial to say that this symposium has been timely, has been important, and it has been extremely valuable. Now, normally in the House of Commons, when you finish a debate, particularly in relation to a piece of government legislation, it is the job of the minister to wind up, to sum up all that has been said by those who have participated in the debate. And the usual thing is you say, what a fantastically interesting debate it has been. And as you say that, you stifle your yawns. On this occasion, I don't need to stifle my yawns because it genuinely has been, as I said a moment ago, an interesting collection of debates. But the other thing that I will not do, far from not yawning, I won't sum up. To do so would A, be tedious for you, but also I could not possibly do justice to the caliber and the quality of the contributions we have had from the panelists and from the keynote speakers. But what I will do, I think, if I may, is just draw out, through the use of some nouns, some abstract nouns, the theme, I think, that we should take away from this symposium. And the first noun I want to throw at you is the word culture. Culture has, if you like to mix my metaphors, woven its way through this conference. And that is the thing I would urge us to bear in mind. Because within that culture, which underscores any justice system and which underscores the rule of law, come a whole avalanche of other nouns which I will rattle through. Trust, respect, but more importantly also mutual respect, plurality, disinfectant, light, focus, universality, reasonableness, clarity, certainty, confidence and self-confidence. And in that regard, I distinguish confidence and self-confidence from arrogance. Responsibility, duty, ethics, transparency, and independence. Independence, yes, from the executive, we've spoken a lot about that, Independence of the judiciary from each other. No Chief Justice, as Lord Wolfe reminded us this morning, can tell another judge what to do or to say. That's not to say that judges don't get appealed and overruled, but they do not get directed, and they should not be directed by the executive, and they should not be directed by the legislature. And that too, I think, applies not just to the judiciary, but it applies to prosecutors, and it applies to defense counsel as well. The prosecution has a duty vigorously to prosecute on the evidence. And the defense has a duty vigorously and honestly to defend on the instructions of the defendant and in accordance with the professional duties and standards of the bar. Courage. We've heard a lot about courage in all sorts of ways. We've seen the courage shown by journalists in this jurisdiction, but also elsewhere, the numbers who have been killed in the line of duty. But courage is not something that needs just to be shown by journalists, although it does. And I say this as the father of a journalist. But it needs also to be shown by the judges. Being a judge is a lonely job. You are very much on your own, and you do need to have a particular character to enable you to perform that most difficult of public duties, dispensing justice and implementing the law. So courage must be there to overcome that loneliness, but also courage must be there to enable you to do that duty independently, with confidence, to sustain the rule of law. Freedom, fairness, equality, disinterest. I don't mean lack of interest, I mean disinterest. Two different English expressions. Disinterest is hugely important amongst our independent judiciary as they seek to uphold the rule of law. Now, all of those things that I have rattled off just now, they're all, I think, broadly what, I hope I don't misuse her term, but I think they are broadly what I would suggest come within Professor Gherkin's soft law. But soft law, of course, is not enough. You need hard law, black letter law. And that we have been dealing with for years and years and years. Right back to 1215 with the Magna Carta, the Bill of Rights in the United Kingdom of 1689, through to the Human Rights Act of 1998. Those are English, British examples. But we have here in Europe the European Convention on Human Rights. We have other conventions ratified or passed by the United Nations. We have European Union treaties and directives and conventions. And we also have national constitutions, most famously, of course, that of the United States, but this country too has its constitution. Now, all of those are hugely important in the sustenance of the rule of law and of justice. These are all very important instruments, but they have no value whatsoever if they are treated as no more than museum exhibits. They should be living instruments, and they should be refreshed, and they should be implemented, and they should be taken seriously. They should come off the page and into our daily lives. And who is supposed to do this? Well, you and me. And who are we? We are feeble human beings who are entirely capable of making mistakes, getting things wrong, of showing incompetence, and unfortunately, from time to time, demonstrating ill motive and malice. But I think a robust justice system and a jurisdiction which understands and underpins the rule of law can cope with that. It can cope with the eccentric judge, it can cope with the eccentric journalist, it can cope with the eccentric lawyer who pretends to be a politician, or the eccentric politician who pretends to be a lawyer. The one thing I think I keep on trying to remind myself of is that the rules, the law, are not just for the little people. They're for the big people as well, for the powerful. And be you ever so high, to quote that well-known 18th century lawyer, be you ever so high, you are not above the law. Now, when we arrived here a few days ago, Wednesday in my case, most of us were strangers to each other. But I hope by the time we leave tonight or tomorrow, we will have not just become lawyers or journalists or academics or judges or students who know each other, but who have become friends and fellow travelers in the positive sense, fellow travelers advocating the need for justice and for the rule of law. And I hope we will do that with enthusiasm, because it seems to me, and I'll finish on this, and please get your cliché alert machines out. It seems to me that justice and the rule of law must not just be words, they're not just graffiti on a wall, but they are like human beings. They need to be vigorously and enthusiastically exercised. Otherwise, and I look at myself, they get flabby. And there is one thing that you and I, no matter what our background, no matter which country we live in, no matter what our current occupation is, what we cannot tolerate is a system of law which does not take itself seriously, which cannot be applied fairly, and cannot do justice. So I finish there. Thank you all very much indeed for the work that has been put into this. Thank you very much indeed for your participation. And thank you very much indeed for renewing my enthusiasm and excitement for a subject which from time to time I fear I take for granted. Thank you so much.